Do you remember the day in October? The leaves were falling just like me.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Miss Unfortunate, and today I got a little bit of a treat for you. A little trick or treat, get it? I have a speed build, obviously, and it is a tiny house challenge by the lovely Kumi_Sims from Instagram, and you can join in to the fun. The due date is November 2nd, and you want to use hashtag kumitinychallenge, and I'll be posting that information somewhere around me so you guys can have a bit of a visual on that. But now I'm done with that sticky note, so let's go ahead and do away with it. Today I'm going to show you guys the tiny house build that I did for Kumi, and I also did a fall theme. That is my favorite time of the year because we got spooky season and Thanksgiving season. Yes, we are quite fatties, if I may say so myself. But it's my favorite time of the year. Also, winter is as well, but I really wanted to do a fall-inspired build, especially since this is our last kind of build for October, and this is a witchy, what did I name it? Oh heavens, a witchy cottage celebrating the fall season. Please don't forget that you guys still have this evening to vote on my YouTube of Horrors competitors videos if you guys want to get entered into that giveaway. Other than that, you guys, let's go ahead and jump on into this. For today's video, I'm going to go ahead and just let the build kind of go on in the background. Really, the only details that I should point out is that this build is not functionable for Sims. I know that kind of sucks, and I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I noticed in the last few of my builds I've been doing that, and a lot of people have been commenting on how they're so excited to be able to use this in their game, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to change that. So don't worry, I'll be sure to come out with some more builds that are sim friendly. Any of my builds that have the debug beams in them, those are going to be the difficult ones. If you delete them, then the build works, but I know the beams are half the magic. In this speed build, I wanted to talk about my experiences. Yes, my spooky supernatural experiences. I made a comment on Twitter not too long ago that I'm kind of borderline believer skeptic just because I haven't had any concrete hardcore things happen to me before, or I should say lately, and that might be why I'm just kind of like, I want to believe in it, and there are times where I'm just like, man, I wish it would happen to me, because I hear all these stories about how people are experiencing these different things, and it's like, man, why won't that happen to me? And then I'm like, what if it did happen to me? I think I would freak out, and I would probably go hide in a corner or something. I would, like, at the minimum, fall down into a fetal position and start crying. So maybe it wouldn't be for the best if I actually saw a full body apparition or something like that. So I'll start with my first one that I can kind of really remember. I was really young. It was on the USS Lexington, and if anyone's ever heard of that, or if any of you guys watch any of these ghost hunter shows, I believe a lot of them go to that ship just because it is severely haunted. You know, like, who knows if it's haunted or not, but you guys, I think it is. I got a weird feeling while I was there. So let me tell you the story about the USS Lexington. Basically, I was in Girl Scouts, yes, loved it, and we went to go and stay the night on the USS Lexington. And for anyone that doesn't know, the USS Lexington was a battleship in I forgot which war, but I'll be sure to post some information around here in case you guys want to take a look at that. But it was a battleship, so it is now permanently, I believe, parked in Galveston, Texas, which is not too far away from where I live. And when I was very young, I went with a group of my other Girl Scout troops, and we went and stayed aboard the USS Lexington. So the night that we stayed on the ship, and it was only one night, we all got to sleep in the bunk area where all the soldiers used to sleep. And it was very late at night, and of course the whole evening they told us ghost stories about the ship and all that kind of fun stuff, if you want to call it fun. So all of us were really spooked out. So it came to be, you know, bedtime, so we all went to our proper bunks and slept in them, and they were tiny. There was hardly any room. I was like right in the middle, and my sister was sleeping on the one that was like kind of to the right of me. So I remember at one point in the night, and I can't exactly remember it, but I do vividly remember the fact that when I looked over at her in her bunk, I saw, like, I didn't see my blonde sister. I saw a blonde, like, sailor dude sleeping there. He clearly had a mustache. He clearly had a uniform on. Why he was sleeping in his uniform, I have no idea. But it was not my sister. I freaked out. My investigations stopped right there, and I proceeded to hide in the sleeping bag and just wait there until morning time. So that was my little encounter at the USS Lexington, and I didn't quite understand what was going on at the time, but as an adult looking back at it, it was pretty creepy. I think actually then that was the first ever and only apparition I've ever seen. The next story is one that happened when I was really young as well, and this one was at the Stanley Hotel, and this is located in Colorado, and it is actually a very famous hotel because it was Stephen King's inspiration for The Shining. I was invited there by a friend that I had recently made at the school I was at the time, because I used to live in Fort Collins, Colorado with my dad, and her mom invited me to the Stanley Hotel for dinner, and I was like, okay. And so we went, and this was at a point in my life where I just had no idea about ghosts, spirits, nothing like that. All I remember is when I walked into that establishment, it felt heavy. It was so weird. I just remember feeling really weird, and I didn't bring it up or anything because it was just like, one of those thoughts where like, this is really weird, and then like you go on with your life, of course still feeling weird. But it wasn't until later on that evening when we were all finishing up dinner that my friend had brought up the kind of like spookiness of the place, and that's when I learned that it was it was what inspired Stephen King, and it's haunted and all kinds of stuff. I didn't have any actual experiences there. I just remember feeling how heavy it was when I walked through the doors. It was insane. I never felt that way anywhere else before, the way that place had made me feel. I've never had a place make me feel, except for Disney World. I mean, who isn't like happy and feels for Disney World? But my next story is, I'm trying to do these in order of my life. So the next encounter was when I lived at a place called 1626. We called it 1626 because that was the name of the farm road that it sat on, and my mom had recently married my current stepdad, and they've been going on strong since then. My step-grandparents gave them their old farmhouse to live in, and this house was huge. I think it had like 27 doors to the exterior, and like I can't remember, but I once sat there and counted all the windows and all the exits to the house, but it was super huge. I stayed there for like a year, and then I ended up moving back with my dad in Colorado. But the time that I spent there, it wasn't like it was creepy, but you could tell that you were being watched the whole time. And the sad story is that when my stepdad and, all of him, he has like six sisters, I think he has two of them left now. But one of his sisters, Chris, she was the legendary, like all too well known prom night horror story happened with her. She and her friends got in a car wreck on the way from or to the prom that night, and they all perished that night. It's something that we don't all talk about a lot, obviously, and it happened way back when, but I'm so certain that her ghost still haunts 1626 where we live. Recently it was sold, and they turned it into an entire neighborhood and dedicated one of the street names to my step-grandmother. But one night so the way that the house is, it's like a big donut shape, and in the middle where the donut hole is like two faced fireplaces, one facing one living room and on the other side of the donut facing another living room, and then the house was kind of built around that. Kind of sounds weird, I know. I really want to build it in The Sims, and I might ask my brother to help me do it, but I was in one of the living rooms, and on the other side of this fireplace that the house surrounded was the other living room, the main living room, and the kitchen. One night I was there all alone. Mind you, this is on 40 acres of land, and it's pitch black out there. You can't see anything if you look out the windows, but man, it always felt like someone was looking back. There was this one night where it was just me. I was home alone. I still remember it. My parents went to go watch Spider-Man 2, the original ones, the original crappy ones, and I was sitting there playing like Sims 2 or something. I can't remember. It was whatever Sims game was out at that time on my PlayStation, and I remember the sound of high heels clicking across from the back entrance of the house all the way across the living room I was not in and into the kitchen, and I heard the faucet turn on, and at first I froze. I was like, am I really hearing this? Because like, I'm like, what? Because I don't know. It was a crazy thing. So I calmly gathered my things, turned off my game, pretended nothing was wrong, turned off the lights, and went upstairs to my room and closed the door, which I actually lived in Chris's room. That was my room. But I never felt like anything was mean there. It was just kind of startling and creepy, and a lot of weird things like that had happened, just not as severe as that. So that was one of the most trippiest things that had ever happened to me. And yeah, so there's that story. Let me try and move on along here because I did actually record the interior in this video. I hope you guys will enjoy that. My brother and I were house hunting together for a temporary place for me and his boyfriend to stay, and we were just out looking at houses, and this was like maybe, I think like 5 years ago, and we were in Austin, and we came across this one house, and the rent was really, it was, pretty good for what it looked like. It was a lovely house. Right when you walk in, there was this marble there's this marble staircase going up, in a spiral up to the second floor, and there was like a little bit of an area up there where you could like lean on and look down, at whoever's at the front door or whatnot. And we had just gotten done looking at the house. I was video recording it because I wanted to remember all the houses we had gone to go look at, and so we could decide later. And my brother, I remember him staring at me while I walked down the staircase because he was like, okay, I'm done, like a minute ago, and I was finishing up my recording upstairs. And I walked down, and the look on his face, I already knew, because like, I don't know, him and I are very mentally connected, and I don't know, I knew the look on his face. I knew he'd seen something that scared him. So I was like, okay, let's go. So I grabbed his arm and we walked outside. I was like, what happened? And he was all like, I looked up at you while you were walking down, and I saw a little girl leaning against the railing looking down at me. It was really creepy because my brother doesn't lie about that kind of stuff at all. So that was interesting. All my encounters are real quick, real simple. I don't have anything that intricately happened to me because I don't think I ever lived anywhere that was like haunted per se. Well, until now, kind of a funny, weird story lately. When my boyfriend and I first moved into the house that we live in right now, which is in Lubbock, Texas, we had to stay in what used to be the carport in the back of the house. Of course, it was converted into a livable space. So yeah, we were living back there while all of the renovations were happening at the front of the house, because our side of the house was not necessarily livable at the time because they were putting down flooring, there were nails everywhere and all kinds of stuff. So I remember it was like one of our first nights staying back there, and we were laying on, we were asleep. It was like 3 a.m. or something. I don't know. All I remember is my boyfriend woke me up and he pointed at this dark door area space where if you walk through it, it's just the laundry room area, but it led to the rest of the house. And he pointed over there and he was like, there's an alien over there. It's really short. And I was like, what? And he freaking went back to bed after he told me that. Like, he just rolled over and went back to bed. And I was just laying there like, excuse me, can you elaborate? What'd you see? Like, I'm freaking out. Like, is there a little man in my laundry room or not? So that was really weird. Not really supernatural, just, kind of a weird situation, but it did happen recently again, like a few nights ago, and he doesn't remember doing it, but he didn't necessarily say anything, but he woke up, and I woke up because I was startled that he woke up so fast. He turned on the lamp that's next to our bed and looked at the corner of the room, and then he turned off the lamp and went back to bed. I was like, what the heck? And I was so drowsy, I just went back to bed too, because I was not about to let him mess up my night of sleeping. So that was really weird. A few other things is that I do sometimes hear some random coughing or like throat clearing or breathing, and it hasn't happened lately ever since I actually started talking about it with people. It used to happen like in the hallway that's behind me, but it hasn't happened since then. I don't know. Maybe I definitely think if it is a haunting, it's residual for sure, because I don't think anything intelligent is here as far as like actual hauntings. I don't know why they would be here. It's just a very boring area. So yeah, there's that. Another strange thing that happened was when I was younger, we lived at this place called Honeysuckle, and for some reason my family and I, we always named our houses by the street name. And when I lived there, something really weird happened to me. I had just gotten done playing a really long day of World of Warcraft. I was like in high school. I went to go lay down on my bed, and I laid my head on my pillow, and I remember just fear coming onto me, just the emotion of fear just snapped on, and I didn't understand why. So I just ignored it. I was like, I'm just gonna go to bed. And I heard something come in my room, and then I felt like, I don't know, it was like my head started to sink because something put its hand on my pillow, because I could feel my hand sink, and then I felt something briefly like on my hip, and I just froze. Like, I don't think I could ever confront a spiritual situation if it happened to me. I think I would just freeze and pretend I didn't see it, and that's what I did here. Anyways, I ended up falling asleep, and then I woke up, and I don't know to this day if it was just a dream or not, but man, it felt so real. Other than that, I mean, I have a few other things that has happened to me, but nothing as severe as the things that I've told you guys. I'm sorry if it's not as entertaining as some of the other people's stories that have happened to them, but I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me ramble and watch my build creation video. I love every single one of you. You already know that. You are all so inspiring to me, and you keep me going. So have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye. Oh, have a happy Halloween! Bye! Hey guys, it's me again. I know I just said goodbye, but I was editing and realized that I had 2 whole minutes before the tour began. And there was one story that I really wanted to share with you guys, and it was more of like a supernatural experience more than anything kind of scary. Some of you may know that my dad passed away about 5 years ago, and I took it as hard as a daughter probably could take the death, especially since it was so sudden. But in dealing with it, one of the things that I remember so vividly that helped me kind of deal with his passing. I was stressed out. Of course, I missed him a ton. I was more so worried about the way that he went more than anything. And I just remember this vivid dream one night. My dad, he used to sit at the table or the bar, whatever, and at our home. He would always sit there with his little glasses on, writing out his bills. So he knew exactly what bills he had to pay, what things he had to do that week, that kind of thing, you know, just kind of planning things out. And I remember seeing him like that a lot growing up as a child. So when I had this dream, I remember it was right after he passed away and, you know, having to deal with all that. I remember seeing him just, you know, the whole room was black, but there was like this one like bar with this stool where my dad was sitting at, and he was, you know, I was coming upon him with his back turned to me, and I remember running to him like, oh my god, you're there, you're alive, and then like I realized, like, I somehow in the dream I realized it was a dream, that and he was like, what's wrong? And I told him, don't you know you're dead? And he's like, Mama, don't worry about it. And that was so powerful to me. I come from a Hispanic family, and Mama is like, you know, they would call their daughters or their moms that, and he just told me not to worry about it and that he was okay, and that was really powerful, and I woke up feeling completely different. But anyways, I wanted to share that with you guys real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and duck out. Enjoy the tour. Love you all. Bye.
Day in October, the leaves were falling just like me when it was over. One more day of sorrow and I'll struggle to stay sober. Hope to see you later when I get older. I still remember the smell of your perfume. It hasn't left me since the day you made me blue. I think I saw you, but I know I'm not supposed to. I must be dreaming, cause I don't believe in ghosts, yeah. Like me when it was over. One more day of sorrow and I'll struggle to stay sober. Hope to see you later when I get older. I still remember the smell of your perfume. It hasn't left me since the day you made me blue. I think I saw you, but I know I'm not supposed to. I must be dreaming, cause I don't believe in ghosts, yeah. Ghosts, yeah. Ghosts, yeah. Don't believe in ghosts, yeah. I must be dreaming, cause I don't believe in ghosts, yeah. I must be dreaming, cause I don't believe in ghosts, yeah. day in October. The leaves were falling just like me when it was over. One more day of sorrow and I'll struggle to stay sober. Hope to see you later when I get older.